What keeps you stuck after a breakup isn't love. It's a neurological trap most people never escape. And every time you check their profile, it tightens. By the end of this video, you'll see why letting go feels like losing your identity and how staying in this loop quietly costs you years without realizing it. It starts in those first quiet moments, alone in your apartment, when the absence hits like a wave you didn't see coming. You tell yourself it's just temporary, but deep down there's this pull, this unspoken dread that without them, you're somehow less. That silent pain, the fear that this person was your last shot at feeling truly alive, and moving on means admitting you bet everything on the wrong hand. It's not something you voice at brunch with friends in Toronto or over coffee in Chicago. It's the ache that lingers when the lights go out. You replay those late-night talks, the way they looked at you, not because you want the pain, but because it's familiar in a world that feels suddenly foreign. Pause for a second. This isn't weakness. It's your brain's way of holding on to what once felt safe. In the glow of your phone screen at 2 a.m., you hover over their name, knowing one tap could reignite the spark or shatter the illusion. That's the entry point where attachment recycling begins, not as a choice, but as an automatic response to the void. But here's the uncomfortable part nobody tells you. This pattern doesn't just happen, it's wired into you from years of seeking connection in a disconnected age. Think about your last scroll through Instagram. Exes popping up in stories, mutual friends tagging them. It's designed to keep you hooked, turning heartbreak healing into a daily battle. You convince yourself it's harmless, just checking in, but each glance reinforces the cycle, making post-breakup recovery feel impossible. This is where most people get it wrong, assuming it's about time healing wounds, when really it's your nervous system recycling old highs to avoid the low of starting fresh. It forms quietly in the aftermath, as your mind edits the relationship down to its best hits, ignoring the cracks that led to the end. Why does it feel so necessary? Because in our fast-paced North American lives, where dating apps promise options but deliver exhaustion, clinging to the known shields you from the unknown. You wake up in Vancouver rain or New York hustle, and the day ahead feels dimmer, not because you're broken, but because this mechanism sustains itself through subtle triggers. A song on Spotify, a familiar scent. Bam, you're back in the loop, questioning why can't I move on after a breakup? This pattern thrives on intermittent reinforcement, those random thoughts or accidental encounters that deliver just enough dopamine to keep you invested. Like a slot machine in Vegas, it pays out unpredictably. A dream about them, a vague text, pulling you deeper without you noticing. Signs you're ready to move on from X, they're buried under this. But the real enemy is how it masquerades as loyalty to your past self. But wait, this is the twist that changes everything. Attachment recycling isn't protecting you, it's quietly eroding your sense of independence. Every day you stay in it, you're training your brain to seek validation from ghosts, making new connections feel like pale imitations. Psychological tips to forget X sound simple, but they miss how this loop turns self-doubt into a habit, costing you real opportunities in the here and now. Imagine months turning into years stuck in this haze while life moves on around you, friends advancing, careers shifting, all because this pattern feels too essential to question. Dealing with breakup emotions effectively starts with seeing it clearly. It's not love lingering, it's a survival tactic that's outgrown its use. In the breakup glow-up vibes of TikTok trends, people post transformations, but underneath, many are still wrestling with this invisible pull. Moving on after long-term relationship breakup hits harder because the threads are deeper, woven into your daily routines and future plans. This is the quiet cost. It dims your curiosity for what's next, turning potential into procrastination disguised as reflection. Rebuilding self after heartbreak isn't a sprint, It's recognizing how this mechanism, born from necessity, now holds you back from the unscripted. As you sit there, maybe in a quiet cafe in Seattle or a bustling subway in Boston, consider, what if this stuck feeling is the last barrier before something entirely new? But here's the deeper layer most overlook. This attachment recycling doesn't just loop memories, it reshapes how you see yourself in real time. You catch yourself mid-conversation with a new friend, comparing their laugh to your ex's, and suddenly the moment loses its edge. Why? Because the pattern has embedded itself, turning every interaction into a subtle test against an invisible standard. Pause and think. If this continues unchecked, it doesn't fade quietly, it builds walls around your future. Opportunities slip by, dates that could spark something new dimmed by this internal echo. This is how it sustains, through hidden negotiations with your own mind, where you bargain away presence for the comfort of the past. One day you're fine, productive at work, then a notification pings, not even from them, and the cycle surges back. But wait, this is the uncomfortable truth. It's not random, it's fueled by the very culture that glorifies eternal love stories on Netflix and Hallmark. You internalize that narrative, making the breakup feel like a plot twist gone wrong, sustaining the loop as a way to rewrite your role. Psychological tips to forget X often skim the surface, but here's where they fail. They ignore how this mechanism thrives on denial of its own existence. You tell friends you're over it, yet inside, the pattern whispers that moving on after a breakup fast means betraying the best version of you that existed with them. It feels necessary because in our achievement-driven society, where success is measured in partnerships and posts, detachment threatens your social currency. This is the escalation. The loop doesn't stay emotional, it leaks into your decisions, like skipping a social event because what if it reminds you too much? Signs you're ready to move on from X emerge only when you spot these leaks, but the pattern fights back with rationalizations, like, just one more check won't hurt. But here's the sharp edge that hits hard. Each harmless revisit isn't neutral, it's a vote for stagnation, quietly costing you the energy for genuine reinvention. And the no-contact rule T of online forums, people swear by it, but underneath, many relapse because the mechanism preys on isolation spikes. You lie awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering, why can't I move on after a breakup? When really, it's your brain's clever defense against the raw vulnerability of solo navigation. This sustainability comes from evolutionary roots, humans wired for tribes, now adapting to digital ghosts that never fully disappear. Dealing with breakup emotions effectively isn't about suppression, it's seeing how the pattern uses those emotions as fuel, turning grief into a self-perpetuating engine. But pause, this is where it gets precise. Intermittent reinforcement isn't just a concept, it's the random rewards that keep gamblers hooked, applied here to emotional scraps. A dream, a mutual friend's update, these aren't accidents, they're the payouts that make detachment feel riskier than staying looped. Rebuilding self after heartbreak demands acknowledging this, but the pattern resists by framing independence as loneliness in disguise. In the X-detox energy of wellness trends, you try new routines, yet the loop tags along, whispering comparisons. Why does it persist so fiercely? Because admitting its hold means confronting that your sense of worth got outsourced, and reclaiming it stirs up deeper instabilities. But here's the sharp edge. If unchecked, this recycling doesn't just delay moving on, it warps your baseline, making future relationships start from a deficit. You meet someone new, sparks fly, but the mechanism injects doubt. Is this as real as before? Sustaining itself through self-sabotage. This is the quiet danger. It turns potential into hesitation, costing you connections in a world where timing is everything. Breakup glow-up vibes mask it well on social media, but in reality, many are still paying the hidden toll of this internal negotiation. Moving on after long-term relationship breakup amplifies it as the pattern weaves deeper into habits built over years, like shared routines that now echo empty. After this point, staying stuck isn't unconscious anymore. It becomes a choice. In the final part, we'll break the illusion, not with motivation, but with a precise interruption that rewires this loop. As you navigate this, the question sharpens. What hidden negotiations are you making right now that keep the loop alive? But here's the final, unavoidable truth. This attachment recycling isn't something that happens to you, it's something you're still allowing to happen. After this point, staying in the loop isn't unconscious anymore. It becomes a quiet, daily choice. Not a dramatic betrayal of yourself, but a subtle surrender to the familiar over the unknown. You feel it in those moments when you could reach for something new, a conversation, a trip, a risk, but the pattern pulls you back with a whisper. What if nothing else measures up? That's the illusion it has sold you, that the past was the peak and everything ahead is a downgrade. But pause, right here, right now, and see it clearly. The mechanism that once protected you is now the very thing keeping you small. It doesn't protect your heart, it protects the version of you that was defined by someone else. Rebuilding self after heartbreak isn't about erasing what happened, it's about refusing to let that version define what's next. You don't need to forget, you need to stop letting the loop decide who you are today. In the quiet of your own company, perhaps on a late-night drive or a morning walk, the pattern finally loses its grip when you realize the spark you fear losing forever wasn't theirs. It was yours all along. It lived in the way you laughed, the dreams you chased, the strength you showed even in the mess. Moving on after a long-term relationship breakup isn't reclaiming a lost love. It's reclaiming the parts of you that got loaned out without a return policy. Signs you're ready to move on from your ex aren't external. They're the moments when the comparisons stop, when a new laugh feels full on its own, when the silence stops feeling like punishment. This is the precise interruption. Indifference isn't cold, it's freedom. Not hatred, not revenge, just the radical act of no longer investing energy in a story that's already ended. Psychological tips to forget X fall short because they treat the symptom, not the source. The source is this: your brain learned to equate safety with that specific connection, and now it must unlearn it one quiet decision at a time. Dealing with breakup emotions effectively means letting the emotions pass without feeding them back into the machine. You don't force it, you stop fueling it. Breakup glow-up vibes on TikTok are real for some, but the true glow-up is invisible. It's the day you realize the loop has lost its power, not because you won a battle, but because you stopped fighting it. In the no-contact rule T and X detox energy, people chase rules, but the real shift happens when the rules become irrelevant, when the profile, the memories, the what-ifs no longer have the pull. That's when moving on after a breakup fast isn't a goal anymore. It's just what naturally happens when you stop negotiating with ghosts. As you sit with this, maybe in the glow of your screen or the stillness of your room, feel the weight lift just a little. You were never broken. You were just temporarily borrowed, and now you're returning to yourself. Not with fanfare, not with a perfect plan, just with the simple, powerful choice to let the past stay in the past. If this resonated, if it felt like someone finally said the thing you've been carrying alone, hit that subscribe button right now. This channel, For My Ex, is for moments exactly like this. Raw, unfiltered truths that help you move forward without pretending everything's fine. Drop a comment below. What's the one thing this video made you see differently? Share it with someone who needs to hear this, because someone out there is still stuck in the same loop, and your share might be the interruption they didn't know they needed. Thank you for staying until the end. You're stronger than you think, and you're not alone. See you in the next one.